In 1998, a company called Fuki released a fighting game titled Asura Blade, Sword of Destiny. As you probably guessed, the game fell off the radar, but surprisingly enough, it did well enough to warrant a sequel called Asura Buster, Eternal Warriors in 2000. Both games are pretty similar, and Asura Buster was pretty much a new and improved sequel to Blade, but I plan to cover both just for the heck of it. Both games feature an ABC button layout and chain combo system, much like the Doujin games of today or the Real Bout Fatal Fury series. However, the system in this game is unrefined. Most hits in the chain combo aren't guaranteed, and the system itself only goes A to B to C, although A and B can be cancelled into a command, special, or super move, or a bash attack, a universal launcher performed by pressing A and B that either sends its target flying straight up or bouncing off of the other end of the screen, depending on the character that you use. Furthermore, consecutive hits in a combo suffer from crippling damage scaling. After a number of hits, combos will actually stop doing damage. However, this is due to the fact that most attacks do uncomfortably huge amounts of damage on their own. The game may use dual life bars, but it might as well be half of a regular one with the way that the characters take damage. Although it's interesting to note that most attacks do surprisingly little chip damage on block. Speaking of blocking, you have the ability to push block and guard cancel at will, which are both nice options, but the fact that they can be performed at any time means that they can backfire if they're used at the wrong time, such as in the middle of a chain combo. In addition, you can toss your weapon at your opponent if your character uses one, which causes your character to use an alternative style. The pros and cons of switching styles differ from character to character though, so if there aren't any broad advantages to each style, and if your opponent sees it coming, they can deflect your weapon back in your face, or even knock it off the screen, leaving you without access to your weapon and an entire style for the rest of the match. But all of these features take a back seat to the super meter. Most of the gameplay revolves around conservation of meter. It replenishes rather slowly on its own, although it does increase when you take damage or, to a lesser extent, when you land hits. The meter can be used for three types of moves: EX moves, which are exaggerated versions of a character's special moves, super moves, and burst mode, which activates a character's specific power boost. One of the most striking parts of the series is the overall design of the characters and the world that the game takes place in. It has a strange look to it, sort of like it was based on one of those lower-end shonen manga series. Not that good stuff, like the type of stuff that appeared in Weekly Shonen Jump, or Shonen Sunday, or Shonen Magazine, or Weekly Ace, but one of those cheap powder print rags that get printed on warped wood pulp. This is due to the somewhat inconsistent character design. Each character has an extremely distinct look with unique styles of play to go with it. Each character has their own version of the burst mode, which does different things. Each character's super meter has a different shape, which means that how one uses their meter is different from how another uses theirs. Different characters have different levels of defense, and when I say different, I don't mean the 5 to 15 points of defense that other games use. An attack that might take a third of a life bar for one character could knock off another one down to 50%. Basically, each character is designed with a specific playstyle in mind. If you like keeping your options open, go with the main character Yasha. If you're used to charge characters, Lightning is your guy. If you prefer multi-hit combos, then Futi is your guy. Yeah, Futi, that's her name. You see what I mean? The names, look, the whole thing screams 30-minute Saturday morning toy advertisement. I mean, I guess that it's supposed to have this whole medieval world warrior thing going on here, but then you got all these wildly different characters from all over, and they put a strain on the whole aesthetic of the game. And then the gunner with a backup on it pops out of nowhere and goes all to hell. Things got a little better in the sequel, Asura Buster. There are new characters who added variety to the game's roster, and the game was reworked at more like a traditional fighter. The weapon switching mechanic was scrapped, but the chain combo system was corrected and worked more like a proper combo system. Jabs were repeatable, although damage scaling was still a factor, and any move could be tacked on after the same hit. There are also 3 new mechanics added: the guard breaker, which was an instant stun move with slow startup, the fall break, which was a mid-air recovery move, and the last chance, which was a KO recovery move that let you hang on for a little bit longer, although it could only be used once per match. Most of the original cast had their own list adjusted, some were improved for the better and most were tweaked for balance, but the GOAT got gimped in order to make way for the main character's story-based rival. Fatigue got replaced by another brunette combo master with poor fashion sense, and Lightning got blackballed altogether. To be honest, the Asura series isn't really a mind-blowing series, but the burst mode is pretty interesting. It's guard cancelable, unique to each character, and adds a unique layer of strategy in an otherwise spam-happy game. It's similar to the hero mode from Capcom's Techromancer, except that it doesn't depend on a random item. And that brings me to my next point, and the most likely reason why I decided to cover this game in the first place. The series is awfully similar to Street Fighter Foh in hindsight. The series revolves around a combo system that has heavy damage scaling, a system that caters to short combos and outright negates infinite combos, no less, and supers are pretty much useless compared to EX attacks or boosts and are somewhat non-essential to the game, much like how super moves in Street Fighter Foh are used, or rather neglected. In fact, I'd imagine a super meter in Asura Blade and Buster would be how the super meter in Street Fighter Foh would work if they were measured differently for each character and the revenge meter was removed. And yet, there are a few things about the Asura series that could negate most of the criticisms leveled against Street Fighter Foh. There are ways to punish projectile spamming, and aside from the bosses, most of the characters have clear weaknesses and strengths in the first game, and are fairly balanced in the second game, so really, to be honest, the Asura series has some similarities if you look at it and compare it to the newer stuff, but really it's its own beast, it's got its own style, and it's a different type of game from each game, and, you know, it's basically a good series. It's unfortunate that we're probably not going to see anything new from it in the future, but, you know, that's how history goes. Even so, it's definitely worth a look.